The main reason I do not use open cabs is that right there. It's just, to get the cab to, and I'm not even saying this is far from correct. I kind of rushed. I only had about 30 minutes to switch cabling and get the cab set up. And then I thought all I had to do was put the mics in the cab. I had to take the burning capacitors, my little homemade choke, off the power amp. And then I was like, okay, I need to come out of the mains to the power amp. I'm like, okay, I need those two cables. I find those two cables. I get that hooked up. I'm like, okay, where's the speaker cables? Can't use guitar cables. Got to be speaker cables because it's running stereo. So I originally set it up both mics on this speaker, and then I went over here and I'm like, that sounds really weird because now this mic's on it. Then I'm like, oh, well, I can't do that. I need 4 mics because I'm using 2 different mics. I just didn't have enough time. So you should definitely hear a difference if you guys want to pan left and right. You'll be able to hear the difference between the SA microphone and the 57. The 57 really does work pretty well for guitar cabinets. I mean, it is the poor man's guitar mic. They're inexpensive and they're pretty much bulletproof. The SA is a little brighter and you got to watch how much of that you use. It can get kind of crispy. And you're also miking really close to the cabinet, so you get no room sound. Right here, it's kind of hard to see with the other camera. Let me see if the other camera works better. Okay, on that one arm, it's kind of out of focus, but the arm right to the left of the screen, there is an X1A on that, and that microphone is about 4 foot away from the cabinet. So I'm going to turn this one off again, and we'll just kind of listen to it. Now this is, if annoying credits here, this is 100% tube. There is no IR. Again, it doesn't matter because it's mic'd, going into a digital mixing board, then into an interface. It's converting it to digital anyway. So, but here's a full tube input signal, and I'll turn off this mic. It's mean sounding. I just don't play it like that anymore, guys. It's not loud in here. I don't have I guess I should hook up the decibel meter right there. Then you guys could kind of see actually how it's not really loud in here. So I'm not getting the full effect of the tubes. What was that, honey? Hold on. You're muted. Okay, try that again.
JR's Custom Shop says, Avery, does that PV cab have Blue Marvels or Celestians? It was great chatting with you in Discord the other night.
This was before PV really started getting into the Blue Marvel and doing Sheffields. These are G12 greenbacks. I'm pretty sure they're G12. This is the greenback everyone wants from the early 80s. This cabinet was originally sold with the Butcher head, and that was before the VTM head. So a lot of bands, I forget what Molly Hatchet, someone in Discord, or maybe it was in one of the streams, had mentioned who was running the PV Butcher. It was a heavier Southern rock band that was really playing the Butcher heads. And they took it a step further and made the VTM head. I mean, the butcher head was awesome. When you turned that thing up with the gain all the way up on it, it did that sound well. The issue is you had to really turn it up. It was a 120 watt head. So the next pass, they did a little more tweaking to those, give them a little bit more gain, changed the voicing on them a little bit. Then they made a 60 watt version and then the 120 watt version. I played both. I thought they were good amplifiers. They did not sound like Butchers. You know, the Butcher had its own sound. They went in there and kind of tweaked it, and yeah, it was more gainy and more punchy, but then it kind of lost it kind of lost why the Southern rock guys were playing it, if that makes sense. But that's fine. There was a lot of artists that went to the VTM, and the VTM, spawned so many great amplifiers. Well, really, I guess the Butcher did from Peavey. But this cabinet here has the Celestian greenbacks, and they're very old, and they're broken in. And I think this driver right here may have a problem. I'm not too sure. It's a highly used cabinet. You can't tell it, but from right there all the way to there, that's all Sharpie. And the Torlex is tore off on that side and on that side from going in and out of bar doors and getting hit. And the main reason it got screwed up was the ratchet straps in the box truck. We would put it against the wall and then run the ratchet strap around it. And as you cranked it, it would just pull the Torlex off. So I took a knife and I cut it down through the side, and then took a Sharpie and then some flat paint. So from a distance, it looks like it's in good shape, but when you get up close to it, it's pretty bad on either side. And then it sat in my house for a while, and I got a kitten, and the kitten decided to try to use this side and the back side as a scratching post. So that kind of destroyed it to the next level. But it's a great cabinet. Not all cabinets are made equal, guys. The baffling in the back of the cabinet, the material, whether it's front load, rear load, there are so many things to a cabinet. And over the years, production changes, on how they were assembled, the glue they used, the plywood. There's a reason why certain people say you want this year Marshall cabinet, or you want this year Mesa Boogie cab, or every cab company that's ever made a cab, someone will come out and say, well, these were the good ones with these speakers in these years, and it's just something to do with the plywood. This cabinet here is a great cabinet. I don't know about any of the newer ones. I know a lot of people really poo-pooed about the Sheffields. I played Sheffields. A guy in the band had a Sheffield cabinet, and everyone hated the Sheffield. I didn't mind the Sheffield too much. It was a different sound than this, but I thought that was a good speaker. He never blew one. They never acted funny. You got an EQ, an amp, you EQ it to the sound that you want. Unless you're searching for something that it was just not capable of reproducing. I never went that far into it. A lot of guys were starting to use V30s, and I always thought the V30 was a little dark sounding. I like more presence and more harmonic. I like to do harmonics. The V30 doesn't lend itself too well to that. Or I'm just not talented enough to really get the guitar to scream in harmonics with a darker signal or an output like that. I have V30s in, well, you can't see it's all, well, this cabinet here has V30s on it. And these are the V30s that everyone poo-poos about. There was about a 5-year period where everyone said, oh, those V30s are awful. They're awful. Well, that's what's in this cabinet. They're okay. I'm not going to say they're awful. They're okay. I prefer, out of all my cabinets, if I'm not going stupid high gain, I prefer my, where's it at? Is it directly behind me? I prefer this cabinet. And that's a Peavey Penta cabinet, and it's an open back, but it's a baffled open back. So if you look in the back, there's a baffle that comes back like this, okay? And it's got about a 2-inch strip from the back panel on the back to where that baffle is. So the air bounces off of that, hits the front, or does this number, and then out the back. It's not a straight shot. You can't necessarily see the back of the cone, but it is a free air moving cabinet. It's not sealed. I like that cabinet. I think it's just a different sound. If I plug this cabinet into this the way it is now, let's pretend we could just snap our finger and not move the mics or anything, you would notice more mid-focused and more of a creamy sound
Devastator
out of
said,
that cabinet.
Devastator said we were promised something super special tonight. We want it all and we want it now.
Well, I gave you something super special. I mean, it's super special for me to take the time and to get my tube amp going back into the speakers. We do have something super special planned tonight, guys. I'm not going to let it out right yet because we had people, wanting to hear the tube amp without an hour. Now, last night we did the Egnator, and I think everyone agrees the Egnator's a good sounding amp. I just didn't have a lot of time. The sound I'm getting right now requires a little bit more EQ change, if that makes sense. I don't want to do anything in the wing rack. I want everything here. That way, if I go to set it back up, it's just dependent on my mic placement. I know my signal here is good, and as long as you use that preset, I'm good. Now I just have to remember what works best with these two microphones. I'm trying to eliminate items, if that makes sense. I don't think it's too bad. Let me do a little bit of noodling. I did turn the gain back just a little bit in the amp. I had the gain up a little bit more for the single coils on the Fender. So let me mute this mic right here, and I'll play a couple things. I don't know. It's not bad. Like I said, I had I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes to get the mic set up and get it run over to the wing rack. I don't think it's too horrible. Update before we move on to moving the channel forward. We did get some goodies. So if you watch the channel, Trucker Bob sent us a guitar. Trucker Bob sent us a Leo James, and the guitar actually did pretty well. It was a $209 guitar. You can go back and watch the review. Very chunky neck on the guitar. He wants me to thin down the neck on it, and I don't know, honey. Do we have a knife? I need to open the goodie box. So to let you know, this is a block, a solid blast block for a Godot. Okay, and this one is a 33 millimeter, and he has ordered series 1000 posts, okay, for the Leo James. And supposedly in this box there should be a brand new shiny Godot. So let's open it up and find out. You guys can live precariously through through Trucker Bob here and myself. So this company, they've sent me parts before. They do a really good job with the packaging. I mean, look, it's wrapped all the way around on both sides. Ooh, guess what, Trucker Bob? You don't get that now. I got a 10% off now. I'll put it in the case for you. What else they got in here? Ooh, cool. Amplified parts. Free plug to those guys. Since Trucker Bob ordered parts from those guys. Don't know anything about them, but I will say their packaging seems to be really good. So free plug to Amplified parts. You know, a lot of companies just send it and it flops around in the box. It was very solid, so I appreciate that. So right here we have our Godot. This is a GE1996T. So pretty cool. So we're going to install this in the Leo James. And he's got this, like I said, the brass block, which is going to make it a little smoother, take some of the bite out of it. And new FR1000 posts. I do think he's sending some other stuff for the guitar, so I can't remember what he said. I don't know if he's sending pickups or not for that guitar, but we are going to do some live repair videos. So we might do a live repair on this. Maybe we can build the bridge, do other things, reset the posts. If you guys are interested in that. The next thing, if you watch the channel, we reviewed a PRS a couple weeks ago, and we found some issues with the guitar. Devastator reached out to the people that sold him the guitar, and then they reached out to Paul Reed Smith, and it took a total of 2 days from the phone call to parts at my door. And the reason I'm saying something about that, now I know I live really, really close to Paul Reed Smith. But for them, well, even for Z Sounds to be able to make that phone call, okay, then the parts department at PRS to get the part, bag the part, label the part, and get it to me in 2 days, kudos to PRS for evidently some extraordinary customer service. That's crazy fast. So here's our pick guard. Was it black on that guitar? Yeah, I guess it was black. Pick guard, Miles Kennedy, item 112094.011. And you can see it is a Paul Reed Smith replacement part. So we got that fancy thing, so Devastator should be really happy.
Blue Mox just installed the exact same trim about 2 weeks ago. He said it's killer.
Yes, I have one downstairs already. Was it last night or the night before? I think it was 2 nights ago. We have a Firefly, the George Lynch model, and I believe it's Renee. He had contacted me and wants the guitar, and he wants it with the Godot bridge, and he wants me to add a pickup, one single pickup, very similar to the original George Lynch guitar, angled, single coil at the top. So I didn't route for that yet, but I did route the clearance for the Godot. So if you have the George Lynch Firefly, heads up everyone, the Godot is not a direct replacement. The ferrule ring on the bottom that goes on the bottom of the tremolo that the nut attaches to, that the bar goes into, that ferrule ring is really wide. It's a pretty big piece of brass. Unlike the Floyd Rose where it's very narrow, this one sticks out about a 1/16 of an inch more, and that component, like here's the side of the route, that little piece was going down and hitting the side of the route. I only needed to clear a 1/16, and that gives it about a 32nd of an inch clear room. So I went in there with the router and I just cleaned up that one route just to give the tremolo room to move freely. So I got that done. Yeah, I know they're really, really good bridges. probably one of the best stock bridges that you can get at the $130 price mark. Now, granted, that's the standard block. That's, standard. And that also does not come with a locking nut at that price, which is fine because the R2 doesn't always fit every guitar. Sometimes you got to get, a different size. It's not just the width, guys. I know everyone talks about, oh, it's an R2 and R3. No, there's 3 different heights from this seat up to where this needs to be. Okay. And you need to measure that. And I don't know, there's a chart that you need to look at. You'll notice this width stays the same and the distance from the cut to the seat changes. So if you buy the wrong one, let's say you buy, I don't know, we'll just throw it out, the R8, okay? And you put it on your guitar, your first fretted note's going to be wrong because it's tall or it's too narrow. They've cut the seat deeper for whatever they bought from Floyd Rose. Now you put the R2 on, the standard one. Now your strings are down too low and it's buzzing on your first fret. So make sure you know exactly what the thickness of the nut needs to be to get that V groove up to get your clearance right. Okay. If you're not too sure, okay, or and it says it's, a little too thin, don't go that way. Go up a size and machine, take a belt sander. I know it's hard to do, but I've got videos where you can hold it. Practice a little bit on some old cheap ones. You need to sand flat and then mill it down to where it needs to be. Or get the thin one, and they do make shims and to put under it. I'm not a big shim guy because it shows the crack right there. And I have OCD, so when I look down and I see a gap between the nut and the neck, it bugs me. But a lot of people will go with the thin one and then shim it. That's completely up, whichever way you guys want to go on it. Did we get any other parts on it?
No, I don't think so.
Why am I thinking I'm missing something that came in on parts? Oh, okay. Now, since we got all that out of the way, do we have anything else on, or we'll move on to the next step?
You can move on.
Okay. Hold on one second, guys. Here is the big reveal. If everyone... Oh, just so you know, you didn't have to subscribe to come in here and chat. If you're just in here checking out the channel, start chatting. You don't have to be a subscriber. We want you to subscribe, but we want you to come in, join the conversation. Everything I say is my point of view based on experience.
Mullet, the guitar guru, says, where are you getting your tubes from?
I support my local stores. The tubes that I'm currently using what's the name of it? It's Hometown Music?
I think so.
I think it's Hometown Music in Harrisonburg, Virginia is where I got my last tubes. I got 3 new 12AX7s, and they're mullered that are in that silver thing because that's one of my preamps. And I got 4 JJ 6L6s that I put in this amp about maybe a little over a year ago. So I think I'm pretty good. I might go and get 2 new GT 12AX7s from ART. They've been in there for quite some time. And I'm bad. You can ask Linnell. I leave that amplifier on and I just cook the tubes. It might stay on for 3 straight days. It gets so hot I can fry eggs on the back of it. And people go, oh, you're to destroy it. It's 30 some years old. It's been left on for days and weeks at a time. It still works. That's a testament to how well that stuff was made. Everything in that rack is made in the United States. Back when they cared that it was made in the United States. It's good quality stuff. But I like Mullard, I like GT, I like JJ. If you really set them side by side and you A, B, how much difference is there? I'm sure there's a difference. It's not just about tone. It's about the quality and the material that the tube's made out of. I think if you buy a good quality tube, whether it's a JJ or a Mullard or what's that, Sun or Sunto or whatever it is, some of the Russian tubes are good. I forget what some of the Russian brands. as long as it's a good quality tube, you should get good life out of it. If you're burning through tubes, you might have your bias set, out of spec. And that's fine. You can over voltage your tube, you can down voltage the tube, you can change the bias and crank the bias up and red plate the piss out of your tubes. Everything you do is going to change the sound of the tube because you're changing the voltage or the bias, or it's just hard on them. So if you're chasing the brown sound and you're going down that rabbit hole and you're lowering the voltage and then cranking the bias, you're going to burn through tubes pretty quick. So is it really worth that maybe 5-10% of difference that you hear, burning through a $100 set of tubes in 6 months, or set it up right and just kind of deal with what you got and get 3 or 4 years or 10 years? And I know the tubes that are in, I got to get my finger going right, in this SGX, those two GT tubes have to be 20 years old. That they have to be, because I haven't been in that thing I did open it about 4 years ago and clean it out and blow the dust out of it. It's got a little fan in the back. It's got a little filter on the side. It does pretty good, but I do open it up occasionally. Just kind of blow the dust out of it. Make sure everything looks decent inside. Check the heat sink. Check the plugs. Go in there with like a pipe cleaner. It's like a big pipe cleaner. It's got the fuzzy things. You put the cleaner on it and go through the jacks. And I do that with the back open, so I know if there's something back there, wires. So I go through, clean all that, make sure the contacts are good. I don't do that often. I started playing YouTube again, and I was having contact issues. So about a year in, I opened it up. So I guess that would have been 2 years ago. I opened it up, made sure all the contacts were clean. I actually went in, took the tubes out, cleaned the little sockets in the tubes. That's something a lot of people don't do. They buy new tubes, then they don't clean the tube socket. So while you're putting tubes in it, get some detail cleaning brushes and some Dexodin or whatever I got it downstairs. Spray it on there, go through, make sure all your little contacts are clean, on all your tube sockets. Double check your amp. Make sure the sockets are tight, they're not vibrating, because a lot of these companies, they use rivets in the socket, and that comes around, they just ground to the metal plate of the socket, and that's riveted to the chassis. The rivets will get loose over years from plugging and unplugging tubes. Go through, make sure the rivets are good. If it's loose, just drill out the rivets and put a tap and a nut on it. Tighten them down. Make sure you get some washers that have the little, forget what they're called. It's a grounding washer. It's got little tabs on it. Put that on it, then put the tube jacket back on it, and then put your nuts on top. Crank it down. It's going to make good ground connection. Just take care of your stuff, because if you lose ground there and it's shaking, you got the amp cranking. It's a tube amp. You're going to crank it, and the chassis starts shaking. If you lose the ground here and there, it can cause all kinds of problems. And the last thing you want is a pop noise at 3/4 of volume on your amp going to your speaker, and that's really hard on your driver. I know, because that's when I had to go through and buy tubes for this, because it was popping and cracking and snapping, and I used it right up until it died. And I told Linnell, I said, well, it's probably 40 years old, because I bought it used. I'll just buy a new one. And I was down in Harrisonburg, and I happened to ask the guy, I said, dude, you got some 6L6s in stock? He said, I do. And I said, well, give me 4 of them. And he come out and he goes, I got 2 and 2 or a 4 matched. And he goes, same price. I said, well, just give me the match set. And I stuck them in there, and it come right back to life. That's something that's amazing to me. That old and that much abuse, and it still works. That means a lot to me. When I try to buy things, I want to buy things that last, but I also want to buy things that I can afford. And sometimes those two words don't go too well together. All right, guys, I'm going to go get something. If you're familiar with the channel, this channel gives away a guitar every 2 months. And if Brian's in the chat, his guitar was sent out today. And it says, when will he get the guitar? It was Tuesday, honey?
Yeah, it was estimated Tuesday.
So, Brian, your guitar should be there Tuesday. Worst case scenario, hopefully Wednesday. So let's check out the next guitar. It's not going to be the end of this month, but, see, we're already halfway through the month. So I'll talk to Devastator, and we'll figure out when we're going to do the drawing on this guitar. Let me go get it. It's a cool guitar. I haven't even taken it out of the bag since I bought it. So let's take it out of the bag, tune it up, and check this thing out. Give me 2 seconds. I'll go get it. Okay, like we always do, we try to find good instruments, okay, guys, at good prices. And these are giveaway guitars. So sometimes we can get a really good deal on an expensive one. Sometimes it's a medium price one. This guitar here, I'm not going to say is super expensive, and it's definitely not cheap. I like this guitar. And I'm going to open up the chat. Does anyone have a guess on the guitar? Have they been guessing on it, honey?
No.
It's a cool instrument. I played it, and believe it or not, this guitar has already been on the channel once. That's right. We got ourselves a beautiful Gretsch. I was impressed with this guitar. It's a wonderful guitar. Check that thing out. You guys kind of already knew because this guitar is $319 and it's a good guitar. It's a good guitar. Can you get a bad one? You guys know you can get bad ones out of any batch. When I played this guitar, I was like, wow, this is a heck of a guitar for $319. Let me plug it in. I don't know how out of whack it's going to be. Let me turn off my amp so I can just tune. Let me get her tuned up here, guys. I'm going to tune it down a half step. Just because I can. And again, I mentioned this on the review. The only thing I'm not really feeling on this guitar, the tuners are smooth. We're not talking about the smoothness of the tuner. I don't like the gear ratio of the tuner. I'm not a fan of the gear ratio. So we'll have to play it. It's probably going to slip a little bit. I am trying to bring the string up in tune a little bit, so. Okay. All right, I'm going to turn off this mic so you guys get a good. knocked it out a little bit. You have to tune it. Like I said, I just brought it home, took it in the thing. I know we started making payments on this, so whoever wins the guitar, we always put brand new strings on it, and I'm gonna set the guitar up to your liking. I'm telling you, this thing's got some stupid low action. Where's our? Let's check the action on it. I mean, the action on this guitar is lower than my Schecter that I was just playing. And it took me a second to adjust because it's so low. I definitely got to get some better cables. I'm having all kinds of ground issues. So right now, the low E on the 12th is set to 0.050. And our high E is at 0.040. It is stupid low. Actually, I think it's too low where it's at. I would raise the action on it just a little bit. That's just me. And you can hear how much difference it makes with this microphone on. So it was just the C sharp. Let me turn this one off again. It's a player. So whoever wins this, you're getting a. I mean, it's like I said, it doesn't choke out at this action height. I have not set the guitar up or anything. So we brought the guitar home. We did a review on it. If you want the full review, please go to the channel and look under live reviews or live Thursday night live reviews, and you will see this guitar and you can check out. We went through everything on it. We checked the frets, we checked the pickups, we checked, you name it. If you want information about this Gretsch guitar, go check out that review. It was a great review. So if you want to enter to win this guitar, you have to be publicly subscribed to this channel so we can see that you're subscribed. The only other thing you have to do is go over to Discord and go into the opt-in room, okay? And it will not be set up probably tonight because somebody forgot to send pictures and stuff to Devastator today, even though he sent us an email on and asked to get pictures of the giveaway guitar.
The opt-in room is set up.
Oh, it's already set up.
I have to add pictures to it.
Oh. So, see, my administrative assistant already took care of that and gave it to Devastator.
Mini Guitar Society asks, is it a 25.5 scale?
You know, I don't remember what this guitar is, guys. Hold on for a second. I'm going to turn this off. So, if I remember correctly, it was. I think it was. 5.5. Let's try 24.75.
JR Custom Shop said 24.75.
Yep, it's 24.75. I don't mind that. I don't mind that scale length. My Vandenberg is 24.75. It's going to bend easier. The shorter scale length, just it bends easier when you're coming up and you're doing your bends. And what you guys are hearing there's a gate on this microphone, so it picks up the attack and then cuts the. So the 24.75 bends easy. That's Paul Reed Smith does the 25.1. He's going for that comfortable medium, so he can catch the 24.75 guys and then also catch the 25.5 guys. I kind of get it. I do like this scale length just because of the ease of bending strings. Do I feel a difference way down here when I'm playing? I'm not that good of a guitar player to where when I shred down here, I think if I practiced on this, I would probably be better on the longer one. How much difference does it really make between the frets? Guys, you're talking 3/4 of an inch. That's it. Okay, and that's from here to here. So the difference in here, it's not going to be much. I hear guys saying it's easier to get the fingers in there, but if you look at the ratio, it can't be. I don't know, a 64th, maybe a 32nd. It's going to be a slight difference. I know it is longer. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's not that much difference. So, I just thought, guys, when we did the review, that this would be a great guitar for the giveaway. Everyone seemed to like the guitar when we did the review, and I looked at Linnell. I said, everyone likes that guitar. They like the purple. I said, this would be a great guitar for the next giveaway. Everyone seemed to like it. So it is sharp, and it's a very pretty purple. It's a beautiful guitar. And the pickups in the guitar, like I said, go back and watch the full review. I think the guitar did outstandingly well. Okay, this is a budget guitar killer, 100%. If you're thinking about buying a budget guitar, stop. Go play one of these. Okay, every shop's going to be a little different. Every guitar is a little different, but this company's capable of making quality instruments. Gretsch has been around for a long time. This guitar is really an awesome playing guitar. Like I said, I'm going to raise the action on it. Unless whoever wins it, maybe I should just leave it alone. Maybe whoever wins it wants that stupid low shred action. It is it is low. For me, I like to dig in a little bit, and I noticed when the action's that low, it's kind of hard to dig into the strings. That's just me. You guys tell me your thoughts on that. If you lower the action like that, it's harder for me. Okay, for me, it's harder to dig into the string. And also notice a difference in the sustain. The chords don't seem to sustain as long. I think everything is a compromise. So you set your guitar up for what you like. If you're running compressors and you got a lot of stuff in your signal, you can probably get away with lowering the action. If you're plugged directly into just a tube amp like that one with a gain stage, no pedals, you might see a difference lowering it because you don't have a compressor, you don't have a boost pedal, you don't have a little delay in the signal, so you're depending on that amplifier in all guitar, if that makes sense. I'm very dependent on certain things, and I know that. My signal isn't as cluttered as it used to be. Everyone says that there's a lot going on there, but actually there's really not. I'm still learning the wing rack, and if you go back and watch the earlier stuff, I got a pretty good tone with my rack. I'm struggling now because everything has changed. The wing rack and the digital system is different. I've made a lot of changes over the last year, and I'm still learning how to implement this new equipment properly. And that's why I depend on you guys. I need you guys to say, hey, Avery, I've been down this road. I went from analog to digital. These were the things that I found that helped me with the newer stuff. Yeah, just like plugins. I think plugins are great. Um, Again, I want to qualify that. They are great. But my old 8 and 16-bit effects in this are great too. There's nothing in the world wrong with those effects. When you listen to Dokken and Rat and all these bands, that was all 8 and 16-bit processing. You don't think those albums sound bad, do you? They didn't have what we have. A lot of that sound that you guys are chasing, maybe it's that sound because of the imperfections that type equipment had, and they did workarounds on it, and it gives them a sound. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying that if you want a 65 reverb sound, the easiest way to get it is to buy a 65 reverb, a twin reverb. You can model it, you can get a new one, but if you want that old twin reverb sound, go find one that has the caps updated in it. They put new filter caps in it. Transformer's good, when well taken care of. There you go. It is that amplifier. If that kind of makes sense. Sometimes I think we spend all this money chasing a sound when all we just need to do is go out and get whatever it is they used to get that sound. If anyone disagrees with that, you can put it. I get both sides of the argument. If you watch the channel, I wanted an Axe Effects for a long time. I'm just to the point now where I don't think I'm going to pursue that Axe Effects. The equipment I have is good enough for YouTube. It's good enough to go out. It was good enough to play out professionally 20 some years ago. It's good enough for YouTube now. So I want to concentrate on getting better cameras and improving the overall experience that the viewers have when they come here. I want a better image, and everyone knows the audio has gotten a lot better. We struggled for a couple months when I first picked up the Wing, but each stream I learn, I tweak, and I figure out, okay, it's a little boomy here, it's a little boomy there, I got to take this out. I don't think anyone nails new equipment their first pass.
Are you using the same guitar for testing gear?
Same guitar for testing gear. Technically, I guess you should. That way you can always see if there's a difference. I've had this amp for so long, and the setting that I'm running there, it's the same setting that I ran 3 years ago doing budget guitars. The only thing I'm changing, if you look right here, there's a series of knobs for the EQ. I just dial those in. But as far as the parameters of the effects, the gain, where the BBE is set in my line tube amp, none of that stuff changes. I find I like where it's at, and anything that I need to change, I can just dial out with the front EQ. So if you watch it, it's exactly the same. I gotta turn this back on. It's the exact same sound. Oh, it's the exact same sound we've always used. So you get a lot of noise from this mic. So let me turn that one off. I actually think I need to take a little bit more of the gain out. I turned the gain up for the single coil last night, So I think still got a little bit too much gain. I am running, everyone says you can call it cheating. A lot of people say it's cheating. There's one preamplifier in here that is not tube, it's solid state. So I'm running a solid state preamp in the ART.
Backwoods Billy says, Avery, you need a guitar to smash or set on fire. A glary, definitely.
A glary. Yeah, I guess we could get a glary and smash it. It's kind of sad to do that when you could give it to somebody that's learning. We could kind of fix it and make it a decent guitar and give it to somebody wanting to learn.
Super chat from Mikey.
Ooh, thank you, Mikey. If you don't know, that's what funds the channel. Super Chats allows us to buy instruments like this, guys, for the giveaway. Let me turn off this amp. And I'm going to set the guitar over here. So Super Chats, all that's what really funds it, guys. So if you want to win this guitar, this is the next giveaway. Be publicly subscribed to the channel and go over to Discord and say, yes, please put me in the running for the Gretsch. Okay? And that's it. If your name is different on YouTube than what your Discord name is, please put in there, I go by this on YouTube. That way, we can find you on YouTube and make sure you're publicly subscribed and we see you. And that's really the only rules, guys. We always do it. If you win the guitar, you tell me what your setup is, your preferred action height, okay? And I will set the intonation if you want it set up for an alternative tuning. Let's say you always play a half step down, or you're always playing a full step down. I will set the guitar's intonation up to that tuning. That way it's right for you. You don't have to mess with it. I'll also put brand new strings on the guitar, and it's a good deal. And it's absolutely free to subscribe. So you can't beat that. I mean, you can ask other winners. I don't know if Trucker Bob's in here tonight. Trucker Bob's been a winner. Brian P has been a winner. His guitar should be there any time. We've given away some other stuff. Birdman, I don't know if he's in here. He's gotten some free pedals from us. If you won something from here, please post. We've given away quite a few things. We started doing the guitars a couple months ago, and I think it's cool. I would like to do it every month. It's just way too much work for me because I'm doing a setup on it, and I have other guitars here. Actually, we have 4 subscriber guitars here, and that's way too many. That's over and above the other stuff. So that's too many guitars. So right now, guys, I'm not taking any more work because the work that I have is going to take a while. Like the Leo James, we're reshaping the neck on that guitar, so that's going to take some time. The Firefly George Lynch guitar, we're routing the body and putting a pickup in it, so that's going to take a little bit of time. Devastator's Iceman right now is on the bench. That shouldn't take too much longer. We still do have to do a repair on the finish. And then I need to take his Paul Reed Smith down here and swap out the pick guard and then find out what he wants to do with the fret sprout. I'm sure he wants me to address the fret sprout on that guitar. So we've got quite a bit and that's not including, there's another guitar. There's 2 more down there. There's Jupe's guitar and then another. So yeah, I hate to say that, guys. I just can't take any more. It's going to take a while to get these through the shop. I don't want to send anything out unless I know it's right, if that makes sense. So I don't want to cheat anybody. So when the guitar gets worked on, it'll be right before it leaves. Okay, if you know the channel, we always take a little break. So if Vox is in the channel, he can start jumping up and down because he plays ball with his dog during intermission time. So if you didn't know, you did not have to be a subscriber to chat. We want you to come in and join in and talk music and gear. That's the name of the channel, and that's what we talk about. So during the break, any new topics that you guys want to go over, please post. If you guys want to talk about speakers or cabinets or the Fender here, on what we should do with the Fender, that's cool. We just did a review on that guitar. It's a Fender Standard, so go back and watch that review as well. We're trying to be the best review channel on YouTube and the most honest live stream on YouTube. It's no BS, if that makes sense. We want to come in and just say how it really is. And your opinion counts. If you believe that a product is a piece of junk, I don't need you to tell me that it sucks or if I suck. You can tell me why I suck. And if you have a different opinion on why the amp sounds bad, then don't tell me it just sounds bad and laugh. That doesn't help anybody. If Devastator gets on here and we stream together and his amp doesn't sound right and someone's, well, I have that amp, I had that problem, help the person out. So everyone knows we're all in different stages. So I depend on you guys to say, hey, Avery, maybe try this and this and this. I noticed you're struggling with this problem. And you might say that and I might not even realize that I'm struggling with it. And it might make me go, okay, there's something he's hearing. I don't necessarily have to agree with you, but at least post something that I can, does that kind of make sense? It's something that I can go over and make the change. Be constructive. You know, that's what it's about. Anyone can say a product is a piece of junk, okay? Oh, that guitar is a piece of junk. Well, why is it a piece of junk? Do you just not like it? Do you not like the color? You know, or is it just poorly manufactured?
Steven says, does that mean I can't send another giveaway?
It's I just want everyone to be helpful, if that makes sense. And I think we've got a really good group here.
Well, it's when you were talking about that you can't take on any more work.
Yeah, I can't, guys. I'm so far. Linnell yesterday during the stream, she was just so tired. Well, we are worn down to the bone from work, and we're going to take a vacation this year. And I don't know how we're going to do it because we haven't missed a live stream in a long time. So I don't know if I could do some pre-recorded things. Devastator, and there's other people here. So I might give keys to the fortress and let the viewers do a stream while I go on vacation. You guys tell me, at some point I do need a vacation. I want to take a week off, and I will take a guitar with me. I'll take my headless guitar and my little Line 6 stomp and my headphones, and I'll play guitar. But I need to step away from work and service work, and, everyone needs it. So this year we are taking a vacation. Last year we didn't. So it's been almost 2 years since we did anything. Probably actually 3 since we had a vacation. So it's time for us to do that. So keep that in mind as well, guys. All right, like I said, post what you all want to talk about next. And if you haven't, please go down and hit the thumbs up button and think about subscribing. And please go enter to win this beautiful Gretsch. It's an awesome freaking guitar. And like I said, I picked this one because you guys seem to like it so much. So I'm trying to pick instruments that you guys seem to like. Okay, guys, we're going to do our 5-minute break. Go get something to drink, get a snack, hit the restroom, and we'll see you in about 5 minutes. And I need to see which button this is. I moved all my display things around, and it is like a nightmare now. I've been trying to add break scenes, and it is not going well. I tell you what, we're just going to do the intermission with Flames because I don't even see where it says Saturday. Okay, guys, I'm happy to report a couple things. We were on Discord, and I see Ted Talks Guitars. He's in the general voice chat. You know, a lot of times, guys, you know, if you guys want to chat with me, I get on. If I don't see anybody there, I don't I don't necessarily sometimes stay. But I looked at that and I'm like, well, you know, it'd be so cool to see Ted in there through the week, and I could. There's a lot of times I want to kind of talk to Ted, and I'm like, I could send him a text message. I don't know. There's something about a text message. I want to chat. You know, do I call him? Well, I don't know if he's busy. Maybe he's down doing a YouTube video, working on a guitar for his next channel thing. I'm like, well, I'm not going to bug him. And I feel that way with Brian, too, over at Searching for Tone. So when you guys just, you know, send me, say, hey, guys, we want to do this or we want to do that, or everyone get in. And yeah, it's cool when I see people. You know, even like what JR said earlier, it was really cool talking to you. We were on, I don't know, a little over an hour, hanging out, talking, and it was late. It was after the stream. And I told him, I said, look, man, it's like 12 o'clock. I got to get up at 4:30, you know, and go to work.
Ted said text me and say jump on Discord.
That's cool. Guys, you know, a lot of people are like, well, I don't hear from Avery too much. Avery is swamped. When I say swamped, I'm swamped. You know, I don't want anyone to think bad of that. I like that. I'm one of those people, you can ask Linnell, if I don't have something to do, she'll find me something to do, because I think she's like, go. Go find something to entertain yourself. Because I'll sit in there and I'll pick on her. So I think she's like, oh my gosh, he's done. That means he's going to be up here, up my butt all day. I'm not going to. So I can go in the kitchen sometimes and she's like, I'm like, okay, I need to go. Go find something to tinker with. And that could be just me. I know how I am. If I don't have something to do, I get bored. And I'm not a happy, bored person. I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't like sitting on the front porch with a cup of coffee. I do that. Linnell, we don't do that enough. We did it, about a month and a half ago?
Yeah, I think so.
We had this really stupid warm 2 days, and we sat out there and had a cup of coffee. Now, it was probably 55 degrees, but it was so cold before that. We just sat out there, and there was the neighbor across the street was out there. And we're just like, oh, yeah, I'm so ready for spring. I'm sitting out there with my coffee. I do like doing that, but for the most part, I like being busy. And I know Ted's that way because I look at how much content he puts out and how many little guitars that he's fixing and the guitars he donates to people that's learning and people that need. That is stupid cool, you know.
Ted gave a super chat. It says date night fund.
Thank you so much, man. I like what Ted does over there. He's done a lot for the community. A lot of guitars out to people that didn't have a guitar to play, or a guitar that was going to be thrown away, and he fixes it, gets it up and running again, and it goes to a good home. You know, that means a lot to me. We've done that here. We've taken guitars, and Steven donated a guitar. It had a couple little issues. That guitar is going to be good for the next 30 years again. If you watch the stream, when I jiggled the one jack, it made a popping noise that night. This morning, I took the guitar down the shop and I put a pure tone jack in it. I want to make sure that contact is stable. Okay, the jack I put in the guitar was a fine jack. Okay, no issue. It did it once. I don't want it like that. So I went downstairs. I got pure tone jacks in the mail midweek. So I took the guitar downstairs. I put a pure tone jack in it, re-Loctited the nut, put it in the box. Of course, I tested it first, but it's got a pure tone jack in it now. So new pots, new cap, pure tone jack, sanded the back of the neck, 2 coats of tried and true on it, and new tuners. That's a playing guitar now. It's a playing guitar. That guitar will make anybody happy, and the tremolo works well. It's a good guitar. And that guitar was donated. Steven donated that guitar, and then Brian wins it. So hopefully Brian is going to give the guitar some love, and he's going to play it and rock it. The Gretsch, when you guys said, hey, that's a cool guitar. That's a cool guitar at $319. And the pickups are good in the guitar. The tuners are good on the guitar. The fretwork was good on the guitar. The fit and finish is good on the guitar. That's why I'm saying it's a budget guitar killer. I think these companies, they saw it. Gretsch, Ibanez, I see it from Jackson. And I'm not saying that there aren't some so-sos in there, okay? But Jackson makes a lot of guitars at the $250, $300 price point. Okay, I haven't looked at them all, but I've had a JS in here, and I thought that JS, okay, was just as good as any budget guitar I played at the exact same price. The difference is that JS guitar isn't made in a factory that was processing chicken 2 months before. These factories in China, if you look it up, when that workload is done, they shut down and something else moves in. It's bad for that over there. Now, whether or not they're doing chicken guitars, they might be building nightstands one week, and the next week they're building tables and then guitars and then IKEA type stuff. Lord only knows. But the tooling changes a lot over there because they do. Someone wins a contract to do X. When that's over, the lease is up, done. They're out of it. It switches over. When you look at a Jackson or an Ibanez, it's made by Samac or Cort. The products that company buys, they're buying in, when I say massive bulk, they're buying in massive bulk.
Steven did a super chat that says, for whatever you want.
Thank you, man. We see it at work. Everyone knows I'm a shop guy. Well, if you call my employer, the first thing they're going to tell you is we're not a shop. There's no money in the shop. Before anyone says, well, there's money there, people do it. Well, you're right. Okay. We're talking about the percentage of mark at the end of the project, and it's tight. I ran CNC machines at a production plant for years. It's tight. If you make one or two mistakes, you're working for free. And a lot of companies, you have to love what you're doing to have such a short mark and such a tight. It's not that. I want to qualify what I say. It's not that the work's not out there for high quality work. It's finding people that pay their bills on time. You can get high-end work that pays stupid money. But what I noticed with the high-end builders, they never pay on time. And if you're chasing money, you're losing money. So then you start doing more track-oriented stuff, and they pay their bills on time, but there's more competition. So your price point has to go down. But you're rolling product, and cash keeps flowing. The big thing is to keep that cash flowing. It's better to have a nice cash flow and you can pay your bills than to get one huge check and then it be spotty for 6 months and get a huge check. The banks, everyone likes it better. So when Jackson goes to Cortex and Cortex orders fret wire, they're not just ordering for Jackson and maybe this YouTuber's making 100 guitars and this YouTuber's making 100 guitars. We won't say brands, but there's some YouTubers that make guitars and they're farmed out by, let's say, IYV or whoever's doing the Chibson stuff, Firefly, whoever it is. They're not buying in that bulk. Okay. When Cortex buys, they're buying in bulk. And I'm sure they have cheaper fret wire, more expensive fret wire, but it's not going to be the super, super, super cheap stuff, if that makes sense. So when you buy a JS, I can guarantee you the fret wire on that JS is going to be better than the nickel fret wire that you get on an IYV or a Glary or whatever the Amazon or what's the other Slick. I wouldn't qualify Slick. Slick Slick's been around for a long time. If you guys remember, there was a guitar company called Phantom. And if you can find one, they made a Phantom Earl Slick signature model. Had a Kaler bridge on it, one pickup, and a locker at the top. That was a fantastic guitar. And I want to say that guitar was like $350 new. And that would have been about, I'm going to say 90, 89, 90, maybe a little earlier. And that at that price point, it was crazy. It was crazy cheap with a Kaler. No one talks about it. But now Slick has went over to, I guess it's Guitar Fetish that does the Slick guitars. It's the same person. But I'm kind of curious, what's the grade level there? Because you're not making enough guitars to push it to the next level. Yeah, I get it. They're all fast guitars. But when Cortex is building a guitar for Jackson, and Jackson says it has to be at this price point, it has to be at this quality level, Cortex is going to make sure that it is that, because they want their other work. They want their mid-grade work. They want their X series. They want those higher end guitars. They're not just doing the cheap stuff. If they screw the pooch there and Jackson goes over to India, like what's the guitar you have, Linnell? The Chapman. Now they're made in India. And I'm not going to say it's evidently it's a nice plant. They were being made by the same people that made Sire. Well, that changed, and now they're being made in India. So let's say Cortex screws the pooch, and Jackson's like, well, we're gonna kind of look at this plant over here in India. They seem to be doing good stuff. What can you do our Jackson JS series is for? And they sell a lot of those guitars. So Cortex doesn't want to lose that. They're the world's biggest guitar manufacturer. They have more employees than anyone else, and they build more guitars than anyone else. It's hard to compete with that. It's experience. Every one of these guitars comes a spec sheet from the factory. And if something's not right and they say, well, we don't like this and this and this, they learn. It's not just Jackson. It could be Ibanez. It could be PRS. All these companies that they make for, they learn. Okay, why is this company doing this? Why are they doing that? What? You got to stop and think. If Cort wants to make a kick butt guitar, they can. Look at the Cort guitars out right now, that X series. They are stupid nice. They're not interested in making their own product. Why? Why do all the research, and marketing and all that? Finding a distributor, well, we don't need that headache. We'll just build you the guitar, and you worry about marketing it. You worry about distributing it. You pay us. It's on our dock. You tell us where to send it. It's your baby after that. I get it. You think, well, the marketing can't be that expensive. It can't be that difficult to find a vendor for distributing. Well, it is. Look at Behringer, how the marketings went for Behringer. Behringer, you can't buy in a small store anymore. It's just Sweetwater, Guitar Center, AMS. You got to be a big place. Why? Because of the distributor. Why did they do it? They don't want to mess around with having a salesperson per area. Or they might sell 5 Behringer wings, in this area to all the mom and pop shops. Well, they're going to sell 20 Behringer wings to Sweetwater just for their one housing plant in one order. Because they need that many, because that place is selling that whole area. It keeps their costs down, which lowers the cost of the product. We keep saying we want the lower. And every time we do that, something has to give. Whether it's customer support, which Devastator just found out he had a horrible experience at Sweetwater. Z-Sounds treated him good, so I think Z-Sounds has his business from now. Why? Customer support. And that's why I say if you can support your local store, and your local store is cool, okay, and they're willing to work with you, and they're willing to do what you, yeah, I'm not saying go in and beat them up. 10%, a store should give you 10%. Build that relationship and support that local store because it's a face-to-face thing. And that doesn't mean that on the phone and online support doesn't work. It must work. Devastator's happy. Z Sounds made Devastator happy. He got a good deal on the guitar, and when there was a problem, they were quick. 2 days, Z Sounds has never reached out to this channel, but I give them credit. For Devastator to call them, speak to the warranty department, and that warranty department to then call PRS, and then for PRS to get it to me within 2 days, that is stupid good. Now, granted, I'm an hour and 15 minutes from PRS. That's still stupid good. That is crazy good. That is crazy good service. And he got a deal on the guitar. I have never really had a bad experience from Guitar Center Sweetwater. I've had bad products, and I've questioned Sweetwater's integrity when I sent a product back and it went back online as a non-open box. But the channel called them out on it, okay, and they did make it right. They pulled the product. It was off the website for about a week and a half, and when it did go back online, it showed up as an open box. And they did put some pictures and discuss a couple of the flaws. Not all of them, but half of them. So I got to say that they did do that. When it comes to my local store, I've had no problems whatsoever with my local store. And I will always give them first bid. They don't sell Behringer. Just going back to what we were talking about, distributing. You don't see T's and Scar My Guitar. They don't do enough. They don't do enough to cover one state. They don't sell enough guitars. So they don't have to worry about distributing. They don't have to worry about a ton of money sitting over here to send to Cortex. That's why they use IYV. IYV caters to all these short production runs because they can.
Jupe gave a super chat, and it says for Devastator's Iceman guitar minus the schlong.
Well, we got to do some refinishing on that, guys. I think that's got a little purple in the black, so I'm actually a little worried how this refinish is gonna. And there's a lot of fill in that guitar. The finish on that guitar, I spoke to Devastator about it. It's kind of weird. The finish seems really brittle on that guitar. I don't know if it could have been a day when they just put too much catalyst in the finish. It is extremely brittle, and the back black on the guitar shows everything. I have microfiber claws, okay? If I do this on the back of the guitar, you'll see the scratches from the microfiber cloth. I have to say, this channel's about honesty. I do not like the finish on that guitar one little bit. As far as whatever they've done to the finish on the body. It seems it's just not, it's not durable. It's not scratch resistant, and it seems like it's so hard it's brittle. And that is usually a sign that they've put too much catalyst in it. They're trying to make the finish cure quicker. And I get it. It's a fast guitar. It was made fast. I'm just throwing a dart. I think that day when they did the pressure pot and they set the machine, set the sprayers up, someone may have put too much hardener in that. It just seems brittle to me, and I could be completely wrong. Maybe they're all that way. If you guys have an Iceman from Ibanez or another Ibanez product from that series line, please post down below. Do you notice the guitar scratches easy, and do you have any chips where the paint has failed on the horns? Because we have a chip on the bottom of the guitar, and the finish is very thick on that guitar. It's a very thick finish.
JR Custom Shop said it's not just that production run, it's Ibanez at that time period.
Well, it's a brand new guitar. It's a brand new guitar. So I'm not sure. I mean, I get it. The guy there mixing, because they have to mix the paint, it's very easy. Maybe they made a mistake and they just put too much harder. And they may have only been able to spray 15 or 20 guitars. Well, it depends if they're running a pressure pot or if they're running, like what I have. If you guys know anything about sprayers, I have a SATA, SATA mini jet. I love my SATA mini jet. It's got the small cup on the top. And I do have the retro conversion kit that you put, instead of putting the cup on the top, you put this piece on it. It has a line that goes to a pressure pot. I like the pressure pot. I think the pressure pot gives you a more even finish because it's pushing the paint to the gun. Wherein when you use the cup, it's a gravity fed to the gun. Have I had really any problems with the gravity fed and getting air? No, I haven't. Because I'll use the bag where the bag sucks down with the gun. That way you don't have to clean the cup. The bag goes down in it. Put the paint in the bag, seal the bag, and then as the gun goes, it sucks the bag down in the cup. That's a pretty good solution. I just like the pressure pot. The drawback to the pressure pot is if you're spraying metallics, the metallics will separate in this pressure pot because it's under pressure. So what you need to do is you need to go out and get some ball bearings from a tractor trailer, the big ball bearings. Put 3 or 4 of those down in the bottom of your pressure pot. Put your metallic in it. Hang your pressure pot and smack it. And just let it sit there and do this as you're spraying.
Kurt said
Go over and whack it and keep it moving.
Kurt said Avery was the chip not in the shipping box with the guitar.
I have not looked, but that's a good suggestion because Devastator said that when it was shipped, it was not chipped. But even if it is in there, I would have to use like a catalyst glue, like a CA glue, and I'd have to glue it to the body. It's a really thick finish. I could probably glue it in really well, and then use CA glue to fill the crack, and then sand that out, and then repaint. That would prevent me from having to put a filler on it. It's going to be a bad repair because it's a thick finish, and the chip goes over the top. So I showed Devastator a picture right where the horn comes. There's a little semicircle. That means it's cracked there. So I'm going to have to take a razor blade underneath that. I'm going to have to pop that off. I'm going to have to reseal that too. I don't like doing repairs that you could see. I repaired Jupe's headstock, and that one turned out stupid nice. I just don't know how well this repair is going to go. And I see some hairline fractures around the chip as well. And if you get a crack, it is separated. It's lost its bond. How much bond loss is there? You don't know. You should really sand it out all the way out past the crack. Here's the catch. There's so much finish on it. Now you have to fill that. So when the light hits it, the finish is even. So if you sand that down and your old finish is here and you spray a new finish, you're going to have overlap because you have to overlap your finish. So when the light hits it, you're going to see a wave in the finish. It's really hard to repair that. But yeah, I'll look in the box. That would help if I could find that and I could CA that back and then CA the cracks into place, block sand it, then put a filler on it. Yeah, that would probably be the best way of going it. I'm really going to have to spray probably a third of that back of that guitar to get it to hide. I hate to say that. If not a third, at least 25%. The whole bottom tail is going to have to be sprayed at least solid out 2 inches, and then I'll have to blend it the rest of the way.
Devastator said it's not the end of the world, Avery. Just do what you can.
Yeah. I just want it to look halfway decent.
And Jupe said Linnell has quality nail polish.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. All right, guys. I do want to give another plug to my local store. Here's our Fender that they've graciously allowed me to bring home for review. if you guys want more information on this guitar, and you want to hear what it sounds like in the Egnator amp right there, clean, check out last night's stream. We did plug it into the Egnator. We also played into this amp, but we were using an IR pedal. And then I want you to also go back and watch the full review when we did the guitar. This is a fantastic instrument, and I want to say thank you to Shandor Music. They allow us to bring products home and demo them. So I don't know what, I'm on the fence on this guitar, guys. I would really like to own this instrument. The neck on this guitar is really good, but I'm going to give everyone the opportunity. I'm going to give them a call Monday, and we're gonna work a deal with them. If none of you guys reach out to them by Friday, we will probably purchase the guitar. But I want you all to have the opportunity to reach out to them and see what they can do for you. I would ask for 10% off. I think that would be a good deal. 10% off on this guitar is going to take it down to about $625. The guitar is worth the asking price. It really is. It's got good components on it. It's a good fit and finish on this guitar. The neck is stupid good.
CD Nelson said, you don't just want to take it to Mako. It'd be fun just to see how they react.
You know, you're laughing at that, but if you type in SATA, S-A-T-A, that's my spray gun. And SATA made its name in the automobile industry. It doesn't matter, you know, products are products. If you've got a good saw, it doesn't matter if it was engineered to cut LVL or pine. If it's a good saw, it's a good saw. I chose to go with SATA. Now, I do have a Kremlin, and you guys are like, well, holy a SATA's high dollar and a Kremlin's high dollar too. I do have a Kremlin M21, and I also, believe it or not, if you're on a budget, the Harbor Freight Spider, okay? It's a black and purple gun. You can get that gun for about $200. I think now it's like $189. That's a nice gun. I'm not going to say it's a nice gun. Does it itemize and spray like the Kremlin? No. The advantage when I'm going to say the Kremlin's here. Kremlin's a good mid-grade gun. It's like the 3M gun where it has the disposable tips. A lot of shops now are going to the 3M gun because they don't have to worry about needles. You know, when you start spraying colors wear out your needles on your gun because it's an abrasive. So if you start shooting a lot of color, you're going to notice that you start wearing out needles in your gun. And if you say you never wear out needles, then you're not spraying enough. The colors will really tear up the needles. When you go to Harbor Freight and you buy that, you're really limited on the size needles you can get. When you go up in price, maybe go up to a Kremlin, DeBrevis makes some entry-level stuff that you can get replacement needles and get parts. I'm not saying DeBrevis is bad. They make some crap products too, but their Pro Line stuff is pretty decent. At least go to that level, Kremlin, DeBrevis. You can get parts for it. You can get, you know, needles, new housings, new itemizer. You know, your head makes a big difference. The way the holes are spread and how they're tilted on how it itemizes. And when you find the right itemization head, it may only be good for that particular needle. If you change needles and you change the orifice on the end, you might find now your itemization on the gun is no longer good.
Jupe says, Avery, the Schecter you have, is that a raw tone finish?
Is that what?
A raw tone finish?
They have, this is some kind of stain. They've put a brown in here, okay? A rub stain, and then it's black. It does have stain on it. It's like a charcoal. This is a nice finish. And I guarantee you this was sprayed. This was most likely sprayed and then wiped down. This in here was probably rubbed in, okay, to get the Tiber striping, okay? That was probably rubbed in. Then this was put up, and then they shot the black. A lot of air. Just like a dual action gun, if you guys are familiar with like airbrushes, You can pull the trigger and it's all air, and as you push forward, you'll get paint. You can do that same thing on like the Seda and the Kremlin. You've got your first trigger, and then you've got your secondary trigger on the backside. You can introduce the amount of paint, and then you could set minimum and maximum. So you're not, let's say you're doing something like this. So I'd set it at like 3, which 3 isn't much paint, but it's 0 to 3 on the whole trigger. Where if I set it at 10, which is full load, it's 0 to 10. So you got less control. So if you know you only need 3, you can set it to where maxed out you're only getting 3. So when you let off on that trigger, you're getting a lot of air. So that's I'm guessing that's what they did right here. They went in, and that, guys, that's something, if you start doing it every day, you get really good at it. So if you don't do it every day, you're not going to beat that guy at the shop. When Gibson's doing their binds and the guy at Fender is doing their fades and their bursts, believe me, it looks easy because you see him, he's rolling his gun, keeping your itemization pattern right, the fan, as you're sweeping around the guitar, keeping the distance from the guitar, and keeping the exact same speed as you're flowing through it, all changes the finish. So when you see that guy and he's just, man, he's making it look easy, that means that guy's really good. If it looks easy, that's just a really talented guy. And I am so impressed when I watch these videos, even PRS, the guys at PRS. What's that, that guitar Philip McKnight was kind of helped start, but kind of branched away. They're building in Maryland. They're sharing a guitar shop with somebody. It's like an 80s recreation guitar. Forget Badlands. Philip doesn't have anything to really do with that anymore. Those guys, you know, they're sharing a shop, so that there's another guitar company in there with them. So that's smart. You know, Badlands doesn't have to go out and buy all that tooling. So there's another guitar company in there with them. They worked out a deal. We're going to buy these machines. We're going to make Badlands, and we're going to make this product. So they're sharing tooling, and that's going to work for a while. But if one of those two brands really take off, that's not going to work, because at some point the product that takes off is going to take over the floor, and that secondary products are like, hey, we still have to run X of these. If they're not selling, they're not going to want to tie up the machine to make 100 of these when they can make 1,000 of the ones that are flying off the shelf, if that makes sense. So we'll just have to see how it works out for them, but I know they are sharing a shop with somebody. But those guys, I watched videos, that sprayer up there, I think they're running PPG.
Backwards, Billy
Good
says
stuff.
PRS not building in Annapolis anymore. They're in Indonesia now.
Cort's been making all their SE models. Yeah. So there's another model that's assembled in Cort, Indonesia, and then they bring it over here and put the USA pickups in it and a couple other things, and it's set up and inspected in the United States, and then sold. If someone knows what that product line is, it's not the SE, it's something else, and it's not the Core and it's not the USA. That's the in between, and then they have the USA model like Devastator got. Yes, that is 100% made in America. The pickups are wound in America. It's all made right there in Maryland. Same with the Core.
Brian said PRS, Core, and S2 built in Stevensville.
Yeah, S2. Yeah, and like I said, I think some of the S2 I think is imported. I know they have a line that's imported, and it's a mix of American and import parts and pickups. I'm just not sure of. I'm not sure of the PRS architecture, if that makes sense. I know the PRS that Cort's making, they're nice guitars. If you want a really nice guitar at a very affordable price, the SEs that are, you see them on Sweetwater, it's like the matte finishes for $4.99. Those are great guitars. They really are. We should get one in on a review, but every one I pick up at the store, I'm like, you know, this is a great guitar for $500. I'm not a big fan of the PRS body style. You know, the one that's got the cutout right here. I guess it's like the McCarthy or 592 or whatever that's called. I don't know. It's like Linnell's got an IYV in here. It's very similar to that. Well, I'm sure IYV copied the PRS. It's okay. It just doesn't really do anything for me. And I'm not trying to upset anybody. If you're a PRS guy, you're a P. They make great guitars. I like Devastators, but if don't take this the wrong way, Devastator. If I was wanting that, I would buy the Indonesian one. I just would. Is there a difference? I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's a difference. One, it's not made in America, and everyone knows I like American products. The other one is like $850. I don't know what the difference is. I'm sure it's not the same pickups. I'm sure it's not the same fret wire. I'm sure it's not the same body material. I think I would get that one because I've played so many of the SEs that just play so darn nice. And for me, on a guitar like that with a 2-point bridge that doesn't really have a tremolo, it would be good enough for me, if that makes sense. It would scratch the PRS itch. It's kind of a telly kind of thing, but it's not. I think a Silver Sky would be a good fit for me too for PRS, but again, I would buy the SE. I would buy the import. You can get a Silver Sky for like $800. It's a great guitar, and that would scratch that itch for me. I think that's what I would do. Now, everyone's different. Believe me, guys, if I made more, I would. We all buy according to our income and what we feel comfortable with. If you guys are into hunting and knives, and that's your big thing, and music is second, you can spend just as much money on a firearm, a nice rifle, and a scope than you ever will a Gibson. I know. I've got some friends that spend some stupid money on some highly accurate firearms with scopes. And it's crazy. And it's not just the gun, it's the ammunition. These guys are like, well, that ammunition sucks. I need something that's accurate to, and it's like, well, what in the world are you shooting 300 yards away from? You know, I couldn't hit the broadside of a battleship standing 50 foot next to it. And this guy's talking about hitting targets 200 yards out. And it's like, yeah, this is better than this. And I'm like, what? I'm not into the target stuff and into the long range sniper practicing. And they go to competitions. It's the exact same thing for them. That's where their money would go, and they would go for the SE. But I'm sure there's other people that like music's their main thing, and they want to buy the best. So the core is going to be the best. They're going to buy the PRS core because it's that little bit. It's that little bit of extra something, and that's what they want, and they're willing to spend it. And that's the way those guys over there are. The machining tolerances on the barrel, the rifling, they go over this stuff, and it's crazy how accurate some of these components need to be to make these long-range target guns as accurate as they are. And they will spend an extra $1,000 just for one little thing to make that thing just a little bit more accurate. I'm not that good of a guitar player, okay, to justify that. Okay, and it comes right down to, if you're not that good of a shooter, are you going to notice the difference between that $5,000 bolt action special gun versus a $1,000 one? I'm sure that one for $5,000 is more accurate, and you can dial in wind and all that with the special scopes probably a little more precisely than the other one. But unless you have the talent to use it, which I don't, I'm not going to see the difference. So if I pick up, an SE, is that SE going to hold me back from playing something that I play? It's not. I'm not that level of a musician, and I don't have the people behind me setting up my rig, making sure every little thing is perfect to where I'm going to really perceive and be able to outplay that guitar, if that makes sense. Maybe if I get better, You know, that's something that you guys hear me say, there's a big difference. When you have a better amp, you can hear cheaper guitars. If you got a cheaper amp, you don't really tell the difference. So I think, again, we have to build our equipment up, and as our equipment gets better, we start to go, I used to like this guitar. Well, maybe the guitar is the same and you're the same, but now you have a better amp and you're kind of going, yeah, this guitar is better. Why is it better? And it used to sound the same. Then you go, okay, it's the pickups, or it's this, or it's that. So then you start going down the road, okay, I want to get better. And then you get the exact same point. You don't tell a difference, and then you go, well, I'm going to upgrade my amp again. You go up to the next level amplifier, or the next best pedal, or you start getting into shielded cables. Like, I never had a problem with cables before. I was analog. Now I'm digital, and I see I need some high quality cables that are shielded properly to get rid of the switching transformer noise that I have going on. I didn't have a problem before.
Devastator said, speaking of PRS, Avery, we need to see the new case.
Yep, and we need to check that out. We did a review on this guitar, and we noticed that the PRS case doesn't fit. And we're not the only one. Z Sound said that they had he said either 2 or 3 returns on the PRS case with the guitar not fitting the Miles Kennedy. So it was not just us. There's other people that seem to not be able to shoehorn that guitar in that case. So let's check out the new case. And it did show up. So let me grab it. So guys, this case is made by Gator. You can see Gator right there. And this has the TSA latch. It's got the little key. And when you open this, you can see it's a great big flip lever. And side to side play, there's a little bit there. We're investigating the case. Engagement, very solid. The button on the bottom, the spring on this is nice. It has a nice push, nice feel, and it's solid. Exact same with this one. It's a solid engagement. I'm not forcing it. When I push the button, it releases. It's a nice feel. Again, there is a little play. The plastic itself, I'm going to say the plastic on this case is better than the PRS case. The PRS case just felt kind of cheap. I hate to say that. The plastic, it felt like that hard, cheap plastic. This feels more like the SKB cases that I get. It has some math to it. Oh, we actually have some feeties on the bottom. And there's our hinges. And it has an extruded aluminum piece all the way around. It's a nice case. Let's open it up here. Let's check it out. Now, when you're going to get your case, you need to make sure that the guitar neck is setting in the cradle, okay? You want to take your fingers, you want to make sure the bottom of your guitar, okay? The bottom of the guitar is hitting the bottom of the case, okay? You don't want a gap there. That means that the neck cradle is up like this, and all the weight of the guitar is against the neck. It needs to hit here and here. It needs to set in the cradle properly, and this part of the guitar be against the bottom of the case, and this part of the guitar needs to be in the bottom of the case, so it's setting flat. You can see up here, see our string line? That means that when I close this case, it is compressing against the guitar. See that? Just a little bit. See it move? That's the compression. So I'm not squeezing the snot out of the guitar. Just a little bit. Just enough to push down on the guitar to keep it from moving around. Our side-to-side movement back here is 0. So this distance and this distance is spot on. The only playroom is this way. Just right there. And if I was Devastator, what I would do is I would get a pad right here. This is where I would put it. Okay? I'd put a pad right here, and I'd add a little bit of extra padding right here. Okay? That's all I would do. But there's the movement front to back. You know, you could split it. You could add an extra pad here, maybe a 1/2 inch extra pad, and then put your pad here and a pad right there. But the fit is really good. In this case, there are no doors. It's just an open cavity here, an open cavity here. There's your keys. And then we have our little strap here. Prevents it from opening all the way up. I like the case. It's a nice fitting case for this guitar. I think it's a far better case than the PRS case. This guitar deserves a good case. So I think he made the right choice with this one. I like this case. It's well made, and this extruded aluminum channel through here, it's nice. I don't see any issues at all with the case. It seems to be a nice case. Handle seems to be nice. It's got a little red grippy thing on the bottom of it. It feels substantial. If anyone knows what causes that, and that is another issue that I've been having with the digital mixers. Occasionally, I'll just all of a sudden get this weird feedback loop. And all the channels, well, I shouldn't say that. It did it today. So I am learning the new digital. Everything has quirks. And I'm finding out that digital's great, but it has quirks. The quirks are a little different than the analog stuff. The analog stuff has some quirks too, but I seem to win here and then lost a little. So I'm not going to say one's better than the other. I like the digital for the plugins and the compact size that the unit's in. So if anyone know what's going on with that, let me know. But there's the case. So I need to talk to Devastator. I mean, this is a pretty quick and easy repair on this guitar. Just got to fix the fret sprout, and to do that, we're going to have to take strings off the guitar. So I do want to revisit the guitar, because if you go back, please go back and watch the PRS Miles Kennedy review. When you guys go back and watch these reviews, it helps the channel. YouTube sees that other people are watching it, and it means a lot to me. When I go back and I look at this month's top content and I see the live guitar reviews go up, it means a lot to me. So please go back and check the review. You'll also notice, I thought the action on the guitar from PRS was a little high. So I need to get with Devastator and find out what he wants the guitar set up as.
Kurt said,
do it.
Avery, that happens to me when I get my cell phone too close to a mic in my studio.
I don't have my phone out here. But I know Linnell has one in there next to her microphone. So maybe we could set, I think she's using it for chat. So maybe we could set her the small computer up for the chat window and take the cell phone out of the equation. Maybe we can do that and see if that makes that go away. I have noticed that. And thank you for, we will try that next stream. Instead of using her phone, we'll set up the little tablet and let her check out the chat through the tablet section.
JR Custom Shop said, Avery, send me a list of what you're using in your loop for that feedback.
That's what's funny. Right now, there's nothing going on other than these mics. Now, I did not mute those mics. Those mics are live in the room, but there's nothing going on with the amplifier. And that's it. So we have this mic, those 3 mics, and Linnell's mic is on a switch. So that's the only thing that's live on the rack.
You know, when it happened earlier, Trinity was near your stuff with her phone.
Yeah. I don't think there was any live mics though. That's the thing.
I don't think there was because you were in the kitchen.
I don't know. Um, guys, we all learn, and sometimes you just get something that's quirky, and you start to learn the quirks of it. It didn't do it before, okay? It just started it last week. I noticed it, so it's obviously something that I changed because the wing rack's been here now for about 2 months. So whatever I have changed in my settings, it's something on my end, if that makes sense. Okay, guys, I don't know how long we've been on, but I definitely am ready for another break. Vox is going to be happy because we're doing the 2 night break. Did we miss any topics, honey?
I don't think so.
Okay, guys, so we're going to hit our second break. Anybody up for the next break? I think I'm ready. Yeah, see what JR did? He put at. If you guys do that or question marks, the at helps. Well, it helps me if I have the chat open. I don't think Linnell sees it, but at Music and Gear, if my window's open, it really flags it for me. But if you guys put a bunch of questions in front of your question or your topic that you want to go over, and then at the end put a bunch more, it definitely flags it so we can catch it, on the next part. When we come back, we'll probably stream for about another 15 or 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes max. We definitely hit our 2 hour goals, so everything past now is going to be a bonus. If you haven't typed anything in the chat yet, I see we got 30 people here. Please go down, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe. This month's guitar giveaway, well, it's actually going to be next month, is a purple Gretsch. To enter in to win the Gretsch, okay, you need to be publicly subscribed to the channel, and you need to go over to our Discord channel. Links are in the chat window, and just say, I want in on the free guitar. And if you're new to Discord, when you post, please put, I am such and such on YouTube, so we can know who you are. And then a lot of names are different, so we need to know who you are. That's it. That's all you got to do to enter to win the guitar. So new topics that you all want to go over in the next half of the stream coming up, please post in the thing and we can go over that. Again, we're running the tube amp tonight, so any questions on the tube amp or miking and stuff like that, we can go over that when we come back from our break. It's hard on me, guys, talking for a straight hour, 2 hours. Definitely need to get something to drink. And I want to say thank you for Ted coming in to the stream. If you don't know who Ted Talks Guitars is, go check out his channel on YouTube. He does a lot of cool content. Love the channel. I haven't seen Searching for Tone in here. If anyone has a channel that's in the chat, I'm up. Put the name of your channel up, and everyone here will go check you out.
We're still trying to figure out who Tim B is in Discord.
Yeah, like I said, in Discord, we really need, Linnell just said the name. If that's you, please go back over to Discord and put your YouTube name in so we know who you are. We're gonna tag you in Discord, just in case you're not on the stream now. So please go back to Discord and tell us who you are on YouTube. That way we can verify it. Again, go over to Discord for the free guitar giveaway. This month, it is a Gretsch. Awesome Gretsch guitar. Stupid low action. Sounds cool. It's a great guitar. So that's our next giveaway. Let's come back in 5 minutes, guys. I got to get something to drink, take a little break, and let's talk about the next topic. If that's the guitar giveaway, well, we can talk about the guitar giveaway, or something else. It's kind of open to you guys tonight. That's what it's about. We're going to go over your all's topic. Again, thanks everyone that's given a super chat. That's what supports the channel. That also pays for the guitars that we give away here. So that means a lot. All right, guys, 5-minute break, and we'll be right back. Okay, guys, hopefully we didn't lose too many people during the break. But I see there's a lot of the same people here tonight that was here last night. And last night we played this amp right here, and we did not use the cabinet. I was using my homemade rectifier that I've hodgepodge together to allow me to get a little tone from the power amp and the sag, and then I was taking that signal into my IR pedal. I need you guys to really tell me, does it sound better this way? Did it sound better the other way? Or you just can't tell? Because the Steve sent me a thing to load to the IR pedal, and supposedly that IR is for greenback Celestion drivers. Exact same thing that's in that cabinet. So it should technically sound very similar. That's what that IR is supposed to emulate. So we're going to plug in our guitar here, and we're going to check it out. So I'm going to open up the chat window, and I want honesty. Which is better? Could you guys really hear the difference in the amplifier running the IR? Okay. Or is it more lively and live sounding, actually using the real cabinet and microphones? You know, it's easier with the IR pedal for one reason. I don't have to keep reaching over and muting and unmuting the mic because there's an amplifier in the room, and it really screws up when I have this mic on. I'm looking at the chat.
Steven said your new rack made a lot of difference.
So you like it the way it is tonight, and more so than the way it was last night, Steven? Because last night we were playing the rack. We were running the power amp, but it was running through a hodgepodge rectifier that decreases it back down to a line signal into an IR pedal.
Devastator said you switched.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, tonight we actually have mics in front of the 4-speaker cabinet.
Wicked Fester said, I bet in the room it sounds better, but on this end, IR all the way for convenience.
Yeah. Annoying Critic was on last night. And even he says, well, I'm not called that for, and I get it. I like that. I like people that have an opinion and they say their opinion, and he made a point.
Jupe said last night was a lot of noise. Tenny.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing here. It sounds a little more fuller and a little more alive here. That's what I'm feeling on this end. But once it's compressed and it goes through all the equipment, and then you guys hear it on your end, is it really any difference just doing the IR?
Devastator said after the compression, it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. And that's what I mean, guys. Sometimes it's just about convenience, and I get it. Everyone likes different things.
Kurt said, I like both. Use whatever is better to use for you.
Yeah, I think, we can chase sounds all day long. That's why I was saying last night, get a sound that works for you and play the guitar.
Devastator said it gets lost on YouTube.
It does. There's a lot that gets in. Keep in mind, these are 8-bit and 16-bit effects, so they're not as articulate as, let's say, I can use the effects in the wing rack.
Annoying.
We do that through the BE Mini.
Annoying.
The drawback is the BE Mini's a solid state. Yeah.
I sound like I have a stutter.
Sorry.
Annoying critic said I'm confused. I thought last night was the fender through the Egnator.
The latter part of the stream was, but at the beginning part of the stream, remember when you said, well, so you're not playing a tube amp. That's when we were playing the rack, because I was coming out of the power amp into the rectifier, not going to a speaker cabinet with no mics, and I was going into an IR pedal. And you had made the comment, well, if you're using an IR pedal, it's not a tube amp. It's still the tube amp. I'm just emulating the cabinet.
Well, you switched to the Egnator last night after the break.
I did. After the break, we switched to the Egnator because I want the Egnator was set up with the microphones. So remember last night I said, well, I have the Egnator set up tonight with the mics. We'll set the mics up on the 4-speaker cabinet. Now I didn't put my rectifier over on the Egnator. Okay. So I can't hook the Egnator into the IR. Now that would probably make a difference because I do not have an IR of the Egnator cabinet and how that speaker responds. So I guess technically if I did put my unit over on the Egnator and we bypassed the speaker and went to the IR, we could simulate what it would sound like through a 4-speaker Celestion or a 2-speaker V30 or a JBL or, whatever cabinets are loaded in on the pedal. I think it's pretty close. Hey, what were they calling Devastator last night? The guitar snob? Because of his PRS. I don't want to be the amp snob with the guy that's got the rack mount tube amp. It just comes down to what the person thinks. You're going to talk to some people. I forget, there's a gentleman and his wife gets on, and he's got a bunch of heads up on racks. They're chrome racks. The dude can freaking play a guitar, and I like watching his channel. He's got good information, but he plays heads through cabinets, and he's kind of cheating too. A lot of those heads are going into what's that? I forget the name of it now. It's the silver and gold one, and it takes everything back down. It's a load box, and he's going into an IR pedal. That way he can just switch between heads. And I've seen a couple nights he has one cabinet and he has a head switcher and he just pushes a button and it sends this signal to the angle, and then it'll send it over to the 7, or it'll send it over to the diesel. It's a pretty cool system that he's got set up. I like watching his content. Him and his wife seem to do a pretty good job. I don't watch his channel enough. I get it. Those guys are people that watch that channel. They're into 4-speaker cabinets and they're into amp heads. That's their thing. I've always been a rack mount guy. I played combo amps for a little while, and then after that, I went straight to rack, and that's all I ever played was a rack amp. For I'm going to say 90% of my life, I've been a rack mount amp player, and a lot of people said rack is dead. Rack is coming back. You know, it's a convenience factor. If you're wanting to tour and play, and you have the money and you have the budget, the rack is still an awesome way of doing things. Ooh, thank you so much. Another super chat.
Yeah, and he said, I haven't heard your opinion on your Black Star. Thoughts?
My opinion on my Black Star, it's broke. The amp made it a little, just out of warranty and went, I'm going to qualify this. When the amp worked, I loved it. This is the limited edition HT20 in the teal fabric. The problem with Blackstar is service centers. Okay, you can't reach anybody on the phone, and they have no service centers. And it's full of SMDs, and nobody wants to work on it. If you get one and it doesn't break, great. But I'm not the only one that's had problems with the Blackstar. Steve says it's a MOSFET most likely in the unit, that Blackstar had a lot of problems with the MOSFETs in it.
Kurt said avoid Black Star.
Yeah, I had a silver line Blackstar, which was a modeling amp. That amp just had a funny sound. I didn't bond well with it, and I sold it. I do have a Core, which is a really small modeling amp down in my shop where I work on guitars. That amp has never broke. It's filthy down there. You know, it's in the sand room. It hasn't been cleaned since I bought it. The amp's been flawless, but it's a little tiny amp, but it's not the greatest sounding amp. But for its size, it does really well. It was one of the very first little modeler amps that I actually liked. And then Linnell got this Yamaha, and I like the Yamaha a little better. Well, actually, I like it a lot better. I just don't, I'm not a Blackstar person, if that makes sense. And this amp, you can go back, I think we did 3 guitar reviews with it. It had a great sound. The clean sound that amplifier had, it sounded good. And it was really good at crunch. This amp really excelled at crunch and high gain. And it did it well. And I plugged into it one day, and when I plugged the cord in, the first note I hit, it went, right. The note come out, and then it just died. It fell right on its face. And if you put your ear up to the speaker, you can hear it. It's like all the output died. And the guy checked the tubes on it. The tubes are good. He says it's an SMD somewhere. I don't know. Steve's saying that it's probably a MOSFET.
Steve said they make green tones till they don't.
Oh, thank you, Annoying Credit. Kurt's saying avoid them. I don't know. I'm still on the fence. Everyone, you can get a bad anything.
Annoying Critic said, so you're running through the speakers now, and next time can you run through the IR and I can compare?
Yeah, we can do the IR again. But if you want to compare, Annoying Critic, the beginning of last night's stream, that was the IR with that amp. Guys,
But you didn't use the Ibanez.
I didn't. I used the Fender. If we want to, we can do that. Hold on. Now the Fender's going to be thinner. It's a single coil, and I've already said that I did turn the gain down a little bit on the amp. We were using a little more gain last night. Now I have to turn this mic off. it sounds good. Even when you switch it. Even with the single coils, it sounds good. Guys, I'm giving you guys a week. This is a stupid good guitar. Reach out to Shenandoah Music. You guys get first dibs. Ask them for 10% off. Tell them you saw the guitar here. If no one watching this stream buys it, it will be here. I'm liking this guitar. This guitar is nice. And you can hear how introducing this microphone changes things. So I want to do the next experiment. I'm going to turn off this mic.
Jupe said sounded better with that mic on.
You like it better with this mic on? That's right, the penis headstock.
Jupe said it's fuller.
It is now. If you look, I did change the one camera, guys. So if you look, now you can see the mic on the boom stand. That's about 5 foot away from the cabinet. I think this mic is a little too far away from the cabinet. So by changing the position of that mic, we can add fullness, more room sound. And that brings us to our next experiment. I am going to turn off this mic because I can't, it affects the sound. I am gonna, every time I stop playing, I'm gonna eliminate a mic. The first mic I'm gonna eliminate is the room mic, this one here. The next mic I'm gonna eliminate is the SM57. And you guys will hear the sound get thinner and less. It is just going to make it sound different. So remember, the first change, I'll play a ditty. Then the next ditty will be without this mic. Then the next ditty will be without the 57. Okay, I'm taking the room mic out, so it's only the 2 mics on the cabinet for this ditty. Now you can hear there was a difference in volume because I had set it up to try to I'm blending microphones. So I thought the sound was a little better with the room mic. Get some room, push it back from the cabinet, get a little bit of the room influence. So I did, when I stopped playing, I brought those 2 microphones up. I still need to bring them up a little bit more. So let's try it one more time. I'm going to bring up those 2 mics, still both mics, but I'm going to bring up the volumes of them. So I did bring up the volumes of them. Now I'm going to eliminate the SM57. So all you're going to hear is the SA microphone. And you're going to hear there's a huge difference between the two microphones. So you can hear that's just the SA. So now let's just do the SM57.
All right, everybody's saying, wow, it got quiet. Output's way too low.
You're right. I had everything set up for all three mics. So you have three input signals. So when you have three input signals, you don't need as much input because you have three signals. So let me compensate the mic gain on the 57, and let's bring the 57 gain up on the microphone. So you can hear it. It's not just that. It gets you start getting thin.
Mikey said the mic sounds half dead, and Kurt said, I don't like the sound of the telly.
Whenever you have one microphone and you guys are miking cabinets and you just can't seem to get it, believe me, it makes a big difference. If you can get, different manufactured mics, okay? Some, I don't really care for the sound of the SA by itself. Listen to this mic. I think it's the worst. So that is just the small SA mic. But it has a bottom mid quality to it that the 57 doesn't have. So when you mix the two, it seems to do a little better. I think, listening to it this way, if we took the X1A, the room mic, and the 57 and blended them together, we would probably get the better sound. The drawback is I'm running a stereo rig, so you're going to lose imaging without the other mic on. So maybe next stream, we could put the other SM57 beta right here. So we run two SM57 betas and then this mic. So let me reset and get these controls back down to where they were. That's with this mic on. Now we're going to switch it and use the mic in front of the cabinet.
Hurts.
I think you got to play with it. You can hear, I'm not changing any amp. I'm not changing EQ or anything. We're just playing with which microphone is getting how much signal. That's why, again, when you guys watch these, oh, this is my amp setting. And you change your amp just like that. And you're like, my amp don't sound like that. There are so many variables, and I'm trying to show you guys, I'm not saying this is right. I'm showing you how many freaking variables there are. So you can, it's good to know their settings, okay? You know that should be pretty close. There's always a difference between one amp, but it's close. You copy their settings. Now you've got to figure out how are they placing the mics, how many mics are they using? How much gain is on one mic versus the other mic. So if I take a little bit of this mic out, okay, we're going to put just a little bit of this mic in because Jupe is saying it sounds fuller with this mic, but I'm picking up too much room ambience here. So it's creating an echo, I think, in the reverb because I have reverb on the amp. So let's take a little bit of this microphone out and leave both mics on and see if we can't find a comfortable medium. I think that's still a little too much. Let's turn it down just a little bit more. whenever this mic is that far away, you're gonna start adding a little mud because it's so far away. There's a time delay, and you can technically fix that. There are devices that you can add a couple, like this distance here. I'm gonna say that that's probably 2 milliseconds. Okay, so you would delay these two microphones over here 2 milliseconds to this. I'm guessing that's where I would start, 2 milliseconds, and see if it's right. It might be 3 milliseconds.
Jupe said to his ears it needs more bass.
More bass. And that's a single coil. So, Jupe, let's unplug this and let's go to the other guitar.
Devastator said we need the PRS for comparison. Same settings.
All right, let's plug this guy in real quick. Exact same settings. We're playing the shotgun. You're going to lose a little bottom end with this microphone on. You will. If you want more bottom end, let me just turn this one off, and you'll hear that you'll gain a little bottom end. You really don't want more bottom end than that because you're going to get lost in the mix. That's about as. Remember, guys, what we hear, okay, and what you hear in the mix is completely different. You know, you got a bass guitar, you got other things that really fatten up the signal. And I know everyone's big. I listen to a lot of guitar players. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great, but that you're not going to hear that in a mix. You're going to be lost in the mix, dude. I think that's as much bass that you'd want to put in the signal if it's in the mix, if that makes sense. That's hard to play fast. Let me check out the PRS. If you guys can hear the difference, that would be a good starting place for me. I think I would leave it pretty much like that.
Annoying Critic said, can we switch to the IR easily?
Not easily. I have to put the rectifier back on the back of the amp and unplug a bunch of stuff and change cable routing. It wouldn't be that easy. Let me grab the PRS. Let me turn off the signal on this.
Kurt said, that's not true. You can run super bass on guitar and still be in the mix. Bands like Pantera and Metallica run super bass on guitar live.
You can. What I'm saying is, those guys have it down to a science, man. There's 10-string guitars, okay? But they're doing something to the bass as well, okay? You know, if that makes sense. It does get lost. And the more crap you put in, like keyboards and stuff, you really need to narrow where the guitar lies with a key. They need their own space. That doesn't mean they can't trample over one another. Pink Floyd was big on it. Being able to, the guitar play off the bass and the keys, it becomes complicated, if that makes sense. It's not just musically, you have to write the songs to make that work. But now you have to have a good sound engineer that can really get the guitar in that spot to where they can share, if that makes sense. There's always exceptions to the rules. We're painting with a really broad paintbrush. That's why I say try to keep it in that narrow field. Once you get that down, then kind of branch out. I've never had any success getting the guitar to punch through a mix when it's low. It's always better. There's a reason why Eddie Van Halen did the exact opposite of what everyone does now. Everyone does the V curve, and they cut the mid. Eddie Van Halen did the exact opposite. He boosted his mids. And everyone claims that was a great sound. I think it's dependent on what the bass player's doing, what the vocalist is doing, how the drummer's got his drums tuned. It's not just the guitar. And for most bands, the guitar really shouldn't trample there, if that makes sense. Now, if you've got a good drummer and you got a good keyboard player and you can all play nice, you guys get it figured out, I think you're right, Kurt. But in today's world, with the way things are, the sound guy's going to crunch you anyway. Because the first thing he's going to do, he's going to hit the low cut button. So no matter what you did on your guitar, no one's going to hear it, because that sound guy, I know if I'm running sound and I see that guitar player, the first thing I'm doing is high cut and low cut. You've got that space between. I don't really care what your amp's doing. Everyone else is hearing you with a low cut and a high cut. I'm going to make you sound good with a high cut and a low cut on. Live with it.
Kurt said, yeah, I don't like the V curve myself.
Yeah, I'm just being honest. If you're in a band and you hire a sound engineer and you've got this bass and you've got your bottom end on your guitar, the first thing that sound guy's going to do when you hand him your chord, low cut, high cut. There's your space. Deal with it. Don't whine. I'll make it so they hear you.
Annoying Critic said every instrument typically needs its own EQ range.
Yep. Then that's exactly what the sound engineer is doing. He's slicing your bottom, he's slicing your top, and he's putting you right there. Eddie Van Halen knew that, and he made it to where, look, if you're going to cut that, fine. I'm going to modify my sound in this little box, and I'm going to try to get something no one else does, and I'm going to do this and this and this, and I'm going to make my sound as bad but as I can possibly do it, knowing that you're going to cut this and this. That's why he went the exact opposite. So if you look at a V curve that these guys do, they're cutting their mids. What's the first thing the sound guy does? Now they cut the bass and they cut the highs. That's why you listen to a lot of these harder rock bands and the guitars just, it's so muffled. There's so much distortion and the effects. They're V curved and the sound guy's done a high cut and a low cut. So now you got a mid low and a mid high that the guitar is piercing through. And if you set your EQ up on a guitar and punch up those two parts, It sounds like poop. And that's exactly what you get with a sound guy with a V curve. That, well, I'm not going to say all the time, but especially if you're hiring someone that doesn't know the band, that's what he's going to do. So now you got this going on, and you've got a peak between the mid and the bass. You've cut your mid, and a peak between your mid and your high's cut. You've got a really funny signal path going on. All right, let me grab the PRS. I really need a drink, guys. She brought the hot cocoa out, and I've yet to have a drink. That is just stupid yummy. More cocoa for the world. That's what I say. Okay, PRS. Little static in the knob there. Okay. Okay, this is the PRS. These are narrow field, I believe Devastator told me. So I am going to turn off this mic, and we're just going to use the 3 mics over there. That way it's nice and fair. Sorry, I had that mic on. I can hear the difference. I like the sound of this one better. And again, we should hear a tonal difference there between a $2,800 guitar and a $670 guitar. The E string is more articulate when you. Let me turn this one off and listen to the open E when it's struck. Oh, I suck so bad. Oh, you can definitely hear the difference. But put this guitar in the hands of someone that can actually play guitar, and I think it would rock and roll. And the action on this guitar is kind of high too. But I can hear the difference. The pickups in this guitar are very articulate. I said that during the review. They have a sound. There's a good note separation. When I'm not going to turn this mic off, so it's not going to sound as good. But when I'm... So the difference here... I can hear it. I can hear the difference in the note separation between this guitar and the Fender. I can hear that this guitar has better note separation than the Schecter. I can hear that. But the Schecter is more harmonic than this guitar. This guitar is... I'm getting a pinch harmonic there. I can hear it. But the pickups are not... They really, the pinch harmonics don't punch through on this guitar, unlike the Schecter. So I think, for me, I would have to have something a little in between, if that makes sense. I like the articulation here, but I want the guitar to be a little bit more harmonic friendly. That's just my style of playing. Even though these pickups are cheaper and they're not as articulate, the harmonics come out of this guitar. Okay, they're not as good as this guitar though. This guitar is fuller and it's easier to get them. It's more effortless. I do have to work a little harder on the Fender to get it. This guitar, it just seems to choke, and that could be the setup on this guitar. The setup on this guitar isn't very good. The action's high. The intonation wasn't too bad on it. I'm thinking once I give it a setup and I get it to where it should be, I'm hoping the guitar comes to life as far as the harmonic quality of it. I like the pickups. It's got a good sound. This guitar is going to be stupid once I set it up. It's just the action. And I said this during the review. I mean, I get why companies do it, because no matter where it goes, the guitar is going to be, it'll be playable. At this price point, I think the guitar should be, it's a PRS. I mean, they do a lot of extra steps to ensure that the neck's going to stay straight. I think PRS could definitely, you know, do 0.07 on the high E, I would think, and maybe 0.065 on the high E and 0.07 on the low E. This guitar is way higher than that. I don't know. That's my main complaint with this guitar, was the setup wise, and we do have some fret sprout. These bottom frets on this guitar are very sharp. But other than that, the neck on the guitar, it's a chunky neck, but I actually like the neck on this guitar. You know, I'm not well, I didn't think it was a chunky neck player, but now that I play this one, I think maybe I could do a Gibson 59 Les Paul with P90s, because this is a chunky neck and I'm jiving with it. It's the neck feels nice. I'm not having an issue with it. And that guys, a lot, I hear this too, as we get older, the thinner necks become more problematic. And I've heard a bunch of reasons why. Some people say that your thumb's in further. If you guys have an opinion on that, as you've gotten older, have you noticed that you're migrating more towards a thicker guitar neck? Is it due to hand cramps? You know, I think that might be part of it. I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I'm not having to work as hard to pull because of the thickness, and my thumb's in a different position on the back of the neck. I don't know. I'm really shocked that I like it this much. This is a very thick neck on this guitar.
Devastator said, I wonder if it's out as much as it is from being in a box for 2 years.
I don't know. It's surprising. I have never picked a PRS up at the store, an import or a core or anything that I just didn't love and had a great setup. That being said, that doesn't mean that they might have someone like Shandor Music has, a Brian there, that goes through the instruments before they go out on the floor. You know, Sweetwater and all these companies claim they do that. We've gotten guitars from Sweetwater, and a lot of those things went right through their inspection that I feel shouldn't have went through. So, again, guys, there's a lot of variables. This channel's about truth. That's why we heard so many. If you guys come in and you're like, oh, that amp sounds like crap, I don't know when you come in. We had a good sound, and then we started playing with microphones. We turned this mic on, turn that mic on, give this mic more gain. It changes. I didn't change any of the EQ, didn't change the gain, didn't change present, didn't change. All we're doing is changing the microphone gain inputs, and you can get that much sound difference. So with that being said, you know, it's the exact same thing here. There's so many variations on setup. You know, a lot of these companies are probably like, look, we're going to ship it with a setup that we know we're not going to have any problems. The person buying the guitar, they're buying a PRS. The person buying this guitar is not a beginner. Well, unless he's a really rich beginner. The person buying this guitar is after a certain thing. You know, PRS caters, and they're really particular. How long did the neck wood set? How long did this, you know, you listen to, I'm not saying I agree with everything Paul says. He says some pretty wacky things, you know. There's somebody, wink, 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 that picks on me. Well, go listen to Paul Reed Smith if you want to hear some wacky conversations. I don't know, maybe he's right. He's been building guitars a long time. But there's a reason why people migrate to him. So the guy buying this guitar, he's probably right. You're buying this, you're going to want it set up your particular way. You know, I'm going to send the guitar to you well made with good parts on it. You do your setup and you do you. It could be something that simple, man. Like I said, the beginner isn't buying this guitar. It's somebody that wants a particular sound, a particular feel, And I think we've proven it. Out of these three guitars, this guitar, I think, just has the warmer sound of all three. It's not as gainy as the Schecter, but it's more articulate. Okay. I guess it's what you can't have everything.
Guitar MNX1 said, by the time we hear it on YouTube, it sounds a lot worse than what you're hearing in the room for sure.
Yeah, this guitar is more articulate. What's more suiting for me? The Schecter, 100%. If you told me I could have one of these two guitars for free, okay, and I could never sell them, okay, I'm going to qualify that because, well, I'll take that one, I'll sell it, I'll make more money. Okay, take that out, okay, because this guitar is worth more money than my Schecter. Someone's going to give you a guitar, and you have to keep it forever, and your playing style. I'm buying the Schecter, or taking the Schecter, okay. Now somebody else is going to say, no, the Schecter's too rock and roll for me. I don't need a whammy bar, and I don't need a Sustainiac. It's not for them. They're going to go, oh, hey, this thing's got narrow field humbuckers in it, you know, like thick neck. It's got nice pickups in it. I'm going to take the Paul Reed Smith. So it really depends on what you're doing with it and where you are in your music and what kind of music you're playing. I'm a shred guitar player. Well, I'm not that talented to be considered a shred guitar player, but I like playing rock and roll. And one day, hopefully before I pass, someone will say, hey, you're a pretty good shred player. That would just make me happy to know I at least got to the point where someone said, yeah, okay, you're a pretty good shred guitar player. Is the Fender a shred instrument? No, that guitar is the Telecaster, with two single coils on it. It's not set up to shred. Okay, they make some tellies like the Player 2 mod. That was a stupid nice guitar. For me, I think I just want a telly that's just basic, plain Jane Telecaster. And someone made a comment, I think in the other stream, you could put Dylan Talks tone pickups in it. To be honest with you, I really like that Fender pickup in that Player 2 modified. It was the single coil Fender noiseless. I would probably just buy that and put the Fender pickup in it. And then I'd do that and see how it meshes with this neck pickup, the stock neck pickup. And if it doesn't, then maybe reach out to some people that do Telecasters that are kind of like me and see what they found works well, for them. Because I don't know. I know what I like, but I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to buy a guitar that's outside my box. So I don't want to go to the go-to. I don't want to put a Seymour Duncan hot rail in it. Then it kind of loses what I'm buying it for. I'm buying it because it is different. So I want to try to keep the telly a telly. That way when I pick it up, I do telly things with it. Whether that's telly rock and roll like John 5, or I do some chicken picking. Whichever direction that is, it needs to stay like a telly. I have a telly with humbuckers already. I don't need a telly with humbucker single coils, if that makes like or hot rails. I have two. I have an FMT that has pearly gates on it. That's a freaking phenomenal Telecaster. Set neck on it. It's a Les Paul killer. I just want. Does that kind of make sense, guys? I know the music that I play. This is an inferior pick. I'm not going to say it's an inferior guitar. It's an inferior pick for the kind of music that I play. But when I play it, I find myself playing differently. And that's when I'm trying to break out of this mold that I have. I want to learn new things. I want new sounds. I want to experiment and become a better player. And Lord knows Linnell wants to hear me play something different. She's probably like, oh my God, not that again. All right, guys. We're going to put this guitar back in the case. Hopefully I did prove a point that this is I like the narrow field pickups in this. They have a really good sound. And I said that during the review. I like the pickups. and you guys can hear how much better. We should have plugged this guitar into the Egnator last night. Ah. Okay, Devastator, after I put the pick guard and new strings and fix it, we're going to plug it into the Egnator, because I guarantee you this thing sounds stupid in that Egnator. I guarantee you. I can hear the difference in the gain channel. This guitar is going to sound like heaven in that Egnator. Let me put it back in the box, and then we'll come right back. Let me stick it back in the case. I am gonna get another drink of cocoa, guys. And actually, we're heading on marathon territory tonight, guys. I don't know how many people still in the stream. Yeah, it's 20. So we've got the die-hard people that are still here. I want to thank everyone for really hanging out. I know it takes a guitar nut, someone that's just obsessed with guitar, to sit here and watch a guy turn on and off microphones on a tube amp to see if you can tell the difference, and play 3 different guitars through it. I think that just goes to show how much difference there is just in microphones. And take everything with a grain of salt, okay? You can make your guitar sound like poop if you want, or you can make it sound really good if you want. Sometimes we set up our amps and we think it sounds good, and it doesn't. And we'll come back to it and go, wow, that really sounded awful. It's where we are in our journey, and that's everyone in the group can kind of help you. You know, if you're struggling with this, get on Discord. You know, we have a room there that you can turn on your guitar. I found the best way of doing it is if you have an interface. I was on the other night and I ran my guitar through the wing directly into the live channel, and I was able to turn off this microphone. It was flawless. Everyone in the room said, oh, it sounds fine. It's great. I had no feedback issues, and I was doing a direct interface without a microphone right into Discord. And it really seemed to fix a lot of the issues that we've had. Guys, get on there. That's what it's there for. Devastator kind of runs it over there. Anything that you think Devastator can do to make that over there better, you know, he's got a lot of stuff going on over there. I don't want to make it so complicated that people don't know where to post. But spring's coming. Kurt's going to be going back into the studio. He's going to be on a bunch out there playing around like he was last year. So that's going to be entertaining and educational, watching Kurt do his thing. If you do that, and you're working on guitars and stuff like that, and you've got a little camera, it's just like this. Get on there, and it could be a train wreck the first time until you figure out how to get your camera and your mic settings right. But get on there. There's going to be people that come in there, and they're going to join you, whether you're working on your guitar, playing your guitar, or just wanting someone to chat. You know, get in the room. Someone's going to come in and join. People come in. I'll see if anyone's there. If I don't see anyone, then I'll leave, if that makes sense. So use it. It's a good tool. It's something that we can all use and we can learn. All right, guys, I do think that we're going to end the stream. We've been on for 3 hours and 18 minutes, so that's one heck of a stream.
Devastator says because Jerry Dover's in the chat.
Oh, Mr. Dover. Yeah, this is the man that's been out on vacation, going to all the spots that I've always wanted to go. I got to live precariously through Jerry. Dude, maybe one day I'll be able to do that. The respect that I have to be able to go to the place that you know, the past couple of months that you've been going, I hope one day I could do that. I'd love to see the world. I'd love to be able to do that. Man, kudos to you, and for everything that you've done and all the comments that you made in the channel in the past, man. It's good that, you know, Jerry's been with the channel a long time. He's made comments for a long time. The same with Annoying Critic. He's been around for a long time. Blue Matrix has been around for a long time.
Jerry said no, he's working on that. I guess the traveling, he's working on that.
Well, he went, where'd he go? Where I was like, oh, I want to go there. I forget where he went. He just come back from some vacation. He went somewhere. I was like, I want to do that. I just want to thank everyone that has been so, great to the channel. You've always come back. That makes me feel good. It lets me know that I'm still doing content that you guys feel interested in, and you all still feel that you can come in and put your 2 cents in. And that's what it's about. Everyone has their opinion, and I think it would be shared. And I think this group is good enough to where we just don't come on and say, yeah, Avery's a lunatic, he's a nut, and it sounds like crap. If you feel that way, that's fine, but you need to post and say, Avery, try this, it might fix it. Just like Kurt did tonight. I'm going to try that. We're going to try the cell phone thing and see if that's the issue with the other microphone. It could be. Because she made a point, little one's in here on the floor, she had her cell phone and it whacked out like that. So I would have never thought the cell phone would cause a problem. Maybe it is. So we're gonna de-cell phone the area and see if we see that there's an issue. Hopefully that's it. But I wouldn't have known to do that unless Kurt brought it up. So that's what I like about the community. Anyway, guys, I want to thank everyone that left a super chat. That means the world, and that's going to fund our, guess what, our next guitar giveaway, because you're all super chats paid for this one, a little bit each month. We finally got it paid for. It is paid for by you guys. So you guys are the ones that get to enter to win it. That's how it works. If you haven't already, please go down, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. If you want in on the guitar giveaway, please go over to Discord and say, I want in on the guitar giveaway. If your name on Discord is different than the one on YouTube, please go to Discord and say, I go by this on YouTube so we know who you are. Guys, thanks a million bucks. We're going to hit our 5-minute ending window. And I don't know if we're going to stream tomorrow night or not, guys. We did Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So sometimes I'll do Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I think I might take off tomorrow night. Sorry. But I promise that we'll do something maybe midweek or something. Anyway, if you have a guitar here and you're watching the stream later, like Devastator, reach out to me about this or that. And Bob got a guitar here. Need to hear from Bob to know whether or not he's sending pickups or if he's just doing the tremolo.
He hasn't been on tonight.
Yeah, he hadn't been in tonight. So that means he's driving or he's home crashed out from driving. One of the two. Bob, if you're listening, reach out to us on Discord. Need to know what we're doing and when you're sending it. All right, guys, thanks so much. And we're going to hit our 5-minute window. And again, if you left a super chat, thanks so much. And then we're going to hit the ending C, 5 minutes.